clearly pronounce your first and last name.
Okay, I know. So the first name is Ilaria, and it's the Italian version of Hillary.
Oh,
The second, it's two surnames, so it has to do with art. So it's Rosselli del Turco, but actually my real name is Del Turco. But what happened in my family 200 years ago is that this gentleman Del Turco, he married a girl from the Rosselli family, and they were painters in Florence in the Renaissance. So it was a family of painters.
wow.
And so the most well-known was someone called Cosimo, who also made some frescoes in the Sistine Chapel, not in the ceiling, but in the
Yeah,
lower part.
yeah.
And then there was his cousin and his brother and another relative who was a printmaker. So when the Rosselli family, the bloodline had finished, and basically it was only one woman left, she married the Del Turco, but they cared so much about the family that they ended up shifting surnames.
Oh,
So rather than Rosselli being added to it, it became the most prominent one because they cared about the art side.
yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, so that's the story. So and then after 500 years, that's me.
First off, I'm excited that you seem like you have embraced social media.
Yeah, there is sometimes people mistrust their online connection maybe, but it's definitely not my case.
Yeah, and I'm happy about that because I discovered you I and it's interesting how it works because obviously I saw your work somehow and then maybe you looked at something or you liked something and so I'm who's that? And yeah, now where to begin. I think one of the things I struggle with is that my work is too traditional. I'm
Oh.
making
Don't I know that? Yeah.
and I'm not pushing the medium forward. I'm not doing anything different than what was done 500 years ago. I'm talking about my internal bully
Yeah,
critic.
it's very much a mutual. I mean, I have that problem too all the time. All
And
the
then
time.
I
It's
start
nagging
looking at
at me.
and then it's an affirmation, not just your work, but the people that you have included, and obviously you're part of the community.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I'm gonna swear, fuck that. Like, God, look what she's doing.
Yeah, I
She's
think it's also because anyway, I mean, we're not cool anyway. The cool art, it's so just the fact that you're using one of these,
I
that's not
know.
cool anyway. So it in the various degrees of coolness, I'm not really cool. I mean, I'm a middle-aged woman now,
Yeah.
so I stopped caring. But if there's something that looks a bit more contemporary, it's an accident
Okay.
in
Yeah.
my in my
Yeah.
case. But yeah, I think about it and I regret it. But that's what I am. That's what I do. And I
Yeah.
think we all have our tendency and our kind of handwriting. And if you want to be true to yourself and to your vision. And this doesn't align with something that is very contemporary in look. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Then too bad.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And that's so good for you just to say that out loud because it's truth. And please, I mean, we want you to be you.
Make myself do it in a very slow and natural way. If I just decide one morning to
Yeah.
completely change the way I paint, that's I I won't be able. It won't last. Yeah.
Wow. So right now I'm feeling the gulf between Europe and America
Yeah.
because here you unroll this whole beautiful story that links you with your ancestors in
Yeah.
a very clear, I mean, it's obviously very meaningful to you, platform that your personality rests on. And for most Americans, you say, what's your name? And they might not even know who their father is.
Right.
You know?
I know, but in a way that allows you to be completely free. Like I grew up with the knowledge. So of course my painting is kind of looking backwards, and
Okay.
my attitude towards art is looking backwards because I'm carrying this big baggage.
Yeah.
So I don't support at all this idea of the artistic child that then becomes a sort of undiscovered genius and all of that. I think it's more about the work you put in and the stamina and your interest, and you develop your interest, and you hone your sensitivity, and you become an artist.
It's a great thing that you say that because we love the story of Vincent van Gogh, and his ability was really limited and crude, and it was through sheer determination and maybe his Dutch work ethic that he broke through to something so
Remember, he wanted to be a priest.
yeah.
He wanted to be a priest originally.
Right, and he failed.
So,
he failed.
He failed.
Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God he fucked that.
He didn't take him.
He was trying to be his father in a sense. Can you tell me a little bit about your story? Like, did you go? I mean, okay, we know about the family story, but did you
Also forget about the family because it's starting again. So I was always a maker, and I love drawing, but I also always made things. I heard many artists, many painters who start like that, like you have this compulsion at producing an object. So I didn't know where to go learn painting. Then I started going in the studio of a painter friend, and that 20 years ago, and I started painting properly. So that's how it started, and it started not with the ambition of becoming an artist, the anointed one, but it started. I was mainly interested in portraying. I'm more interested in the form more than in the space. So I'm not a landscape painter. I tend to focus on one object. When I'm tried to paint the landscape, I was always thinking, where's the thing?
Yeah.
Where's the pot, or where's the head, or the person, or
right.
The way it works for me, I think I'm a bit dumb. I understand things in hindsight.
Okay.
And so first I do, and then I understand. And when you live somewhere else, and for you, I think it's the same. The geography becomes important. So in fact, I think when people describe me, the first thing they'd say is she's an Italian woman.
Okay.
Because I'm here, because I live in London and I've been here for 20 years. And so this, my being Italian, it's now at the core of a lot of things I do.
That if you don't have the rootedness and you're just kind of drifting along, maybe you don't have the same potency in your work. I don't know. It's just
at the same time, yeah, it could be. It's in a way, it's like having a family history that it's a burden. So if you are unmoored, in a way, you can look forward. You can do something that is more contemporary, or that is about now.
Yeah, the Italian painter I think has really been consistently moving to me is Morandi, and I might be saying his name improperly. Morandi. Yeah, because, and I think what it is there's this quiet humility. There's this, and also there's a solidity and a volume, which takes me to you. In your work, there is a volume, a density that you're somehow creating. It's almost like an alchemy with your paints and your brushes. And what resonates for me about that on a mystical side is that there is there is something profound about the simplest things that we pass by every day. But if we can sit down and get quiet and sit with it, it translates. It's almost like the gates of heaven open up in a little clay pot.
Yes, that's of course that's what I think as well. So Morandi is a very religious painter, and the other thing that is important. Have you ever seen a Morandi in real life?
No.
So when you will eventually, when you do, I think it's also about the surface of his work. So the pigment, the dryness of the paint that really feels like soil. It does feel like soil. Morandi, yeah, that he basically says the world within us is way larger than the world outside.
Oh, I love that.
And
oh God.
so I think so that's the point with his painting. I mean, the more he does, and the table, it's always, it's not even a whole table. It's always that little portion, but it's huge. It's the universe, and then it becomes almost like physics, like it's the matter. So he's looking at the matter. So there's the scale of what he's showing us is infinite. It just goes the other way. So it's not the sky, is the matter. And I don't shy away from saying I'm a painter.
Yeah. For you.
But so there's something about the female gaze, if you want. I was thinking this a few days ago, because I have a painter friend from Israel, and she's working on the figure, and so she's reflecting on the female gaze. And I thought about my own work when I paint women and men, but women mainly. And I realized that most time, again in hindsight, that they are projections of myself. These women, and I realized how many times I've asked a model to wear my own clothes. So that I think that's more interesting but equally interesting to look at what it is, not only impractical, but what it means to be a woman and look at reality from the eyes of a woman, and the risk of the paintings being pretty.
You're a great example of a contemporary woman making work that does throw a look over the shoulder. But what I believe you're doing is that you have that look over the shoulder, but you're looking forward, and you're pulling some of the best things of the past into the present. And your work is completely antiquated and completely contemporary at the same time. And I'm so thankful to have met you. And I hope that we can cultivate a friendship and be colleagues that at some point, maybe even to meet in physical space. Wouldn't that be great?
London. Everybody comes to London sooner or later. Or to Rome. That's better.
Yeah, all roads lead to Rome. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rick.
5 minutes and I went way over.
No worries. Thanks a lot. It was lovely to see you face to face. Almost. And I hope to speak to you soon.